Hey, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rush Roundtable. This is episode 187, where we are wrapping up Roll the Bones with the last two songs, Neurotica and You Bet Your Life. Got a great panel for you. We've got Igor, we've got me, Paul Simon, we've got Rob Bukta, and Paul Cormier. So let us not waste any time. Get straight to Neurotica with the open instrumentation. We've got you just don't get it. What it is, well, you're not really sure. You move like you're walking on thin ice, talking like you're still insecure. Time is a spiral, space is a curve. I know you get dizzy, but try not to lose your nerve. And we open with Rob.
Hey everybody. Yeah, I did a rap on this song on Spotlight Saturday over on Instagram, so if you get a chance you can go over there and check it out, read it. And the beginning part I focused on just the very opening instrumentation. It starts out with just Getty. He's got an S770 Rollins sampler with this black wall bass. That's Getty. And Alex most likely is playing a PRS 24, the CE24 model, and then of course Neil's got his Ludwig drums, and it's a really great opener. I think it sets up the whole mood of the song. It's very, I guess, dramatic but different from the rest of the songs. It has a very spacious, atmospheric quality to it, which I think kind of parlays with the song a bit in terms of what was being discussed. It's like the calm of the tune over or underneath the neuroses that is discussed in the song. So that's my my 2 cents on that.
And those keyboards come in, the synth comes back with that. I don't know if dissonant is the right word, but that counter where you instantly start feeling anxiety, which I really, really like about the song, where that kicks in.
Yeah, the layering is such a big feature on this tune, both in the vocals and the instrumentation, especially keyboards. But still, the rocking bit of the band is still kind of intact, but that layering is such a feature.
Just an interesting sound, the bass sound when that initial like do do. It's just it's an odd tone, I find.
Mm-hmm. Totally, and then that wall.
But it gets your attention.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's
a brilliant
cool
arrangement. That's the thing. It really kind of tightens that arrangement musically. Really kind of, you're ready for something. Something's gonna happen. So.
Right.
And you already Neil with the lyrics, he's already kicking it in where with the imagery, time is a spiral, space is a curve. I know you get, so think about that, the imagery involved there. You have the spiral, time's a spiral, space is a curve. So now you've got, it's three-dimensional. Vertigo's kicking in. I know you get dizzy, so he's helping you along there, but try not to lose your nerve. So you're already feeling anxious. You're already feeling neurotic before he's even introduced the actual words as he's guiding you there. I really dig that. So
it's a great arrangement. Yeah.
And Alex's guitar and that line that comes in next. I don't know the proper terminology, but it walks you there. It's like as it goes upward, that na 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 na. He's leading you there into. And I'll get us in I guess it's a pre-chorus, but life is a diamond, you turn into dust, pressure, waiting for rescue, and I know you just don't get it. You just don't get it. The word I thought there was paralyzed, which I don't want to take over, but that the first theme I thought of was analysis paralysis. There's going off the theme of fate and of endless possibilities. With every song we've heard on Roll the Bones, with so many possibilities in Neurotica, no choice is made. You're given endless possibilities, and with Neurotica, none are chosen. That's what I'm taking out of it. So,
yeah.
No. have to agree. Kind of have to agree with. I don't have much to add on that one.
I can talk about it if you allow me. So, can I talk?
please.
Yeah, okay. So, the thing about the anxiety and all this stuff is really cool because the whole track until the chorus is like a little bit offbeat, like 1/8 note, I think. so it's like Rob Zombie Dracula, right? It's like down, da, 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 down, da, 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 down, da, da, Dracula. It's like a little bit of, and it stays the same. And I can figure it out because like it's difficult because the guitar riff sounds cool, like down, 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 down in the pre-chorus, but it sounds wrong. And the chorus hits you, and it feels wrong. It shouldn't be there. It should be a little bit later. But the chorus is so mellow, so chill, and I know that maybe I heard it on some of the deep dive that some people don't like the chorus because it sounds so poppy, like Neurotica, Exotica, oh, you know, the standard pop music, oh, but it's so cool because suddenly you feel like it's 4/4 again, and Neil is playing this right simple dun 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 dun, the signature thing, and like, okay, we're home now, but. Then it goes again to this thing, to this like off-tempo thing, and the chorus feels like, you know, I don't want to bring it up, but if you ever felt like anxious or maybe panic, then it goes away and you're feeling kind of a little bit high, like a little bit something, and the chorus feels this way. It's like suddenly like it's relaxing, it's soothing, if it's the correct word. So I can talk about the solo later. We can go on with this.
I think that's actually the point. I think you actually nailed it because it's building up, and once a person once it's identified, like, oh, so that's what this is. There's actually a calm there in knowing, oh, so this is what's going on. So I think you nailed it. So going into the chorus, Neurotica, Exotica, it's just erotic. It's just, in other words, oh, so that's what this is.
Yeah.
It's just erotica, hypnotica. It's just psychotica, chaotica. It's just exotica, neurotica. And again, remembering that Neil was very into wordplay for this album, so obviously,
so the word just brings the whole point of it's all in your head.
Yes. Yeah. So I think you make an excellent point there. And he's describing extreme emotional states, but saying it's just, using the word just, he doesn't use words by accident. So I think you nailed it.
Okay.
To Igor's point where he talks about, it seems like it's an offbeat. What Neil does with his hi-hat, he just does that little extra accent on certain beats. You know what I mean? It just kind of throws, like it just kind of gets you like off a little bit.
Yeah. And
also to Igor's point, in the chorus, that's Rupert Hine. That's probably him kind of saying we need to kind of fill a gap. It would sound cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what happens in the studio. Like maybe at first Geddy went, no, I don't want that. But then let's try it out and see what happens. And it works well. It sounds pop and top 40 kind of, but it works for the song.
Yeah.
It fills that gap between the different lines in the chorus.
Yeah, sure it doesn't sound like Rush. But speaking of the hi-hat, the whole thing feels like, if you ever worked in Cubase or like stuff like this, the programs, you can easily like move the drum beats if you roll them, if you write them in MIDI. So it feels like a little bit, the whole thing with the snare accents and hi-hat accents. So maybe that was the like cool accident.
What's funny, in the beginning, when I did the write-up on the song, I thought the drum kicks were on 1 and 3. I'm like, no, they're not, because it's like the lead-in measure that Neil takes in, that Geddy brings in, is on 2. It starts on B2, and then he leads in. And then Alex and Neil start on the and or the of 4, and then the first measure begins, everyone's together. And then Alex is playing on his own. He just does those power chords on beat 4. So it's that unsettling feeling that it's like, oh, wait a minute, I had to sit and count this for a second because it feels very open-ended and spacious, which is...
And it's kind of hard to count when you think about it. It's tricky, you know what I mean? And that's just the three boys being themselves, right? Just doing things.
And they have to play, they have to play. So that's their moment to play, so.
Keep themselves entertained, I guess. Challenged.
Absolutely.
Well, all these little touches seem like they keep going back and forth to the amateur. It seem like they keep going back and forth between anxiety-inducing and calm, like coming back and forth. Again, nothing's by accident with them. So brilliant. This, the song never played live, and I don't want to call it a B-side, but you know what I'm saying, like an album track. Love it. So. All right, going into the second verse, you just don't get it. Baby, don't you ask yourself why. If you don't like the answer, forget it. You know I hate to see you cry. Fortune is random. Fate shoots from the hip. I know you get crazy, but try not to lose your grip. Pre-chorus. Alex comes back in again. Life is a diamond. You turn into dust. Looking for trust, and I know that you just don't get it. You just don't get it. So more of the same. That build begins again.
Yeah, it's like when you're trapped in like a rut, you know, and you just can't, you feel like you can't get out of it. And you don't ask yourself, why am I in this rut? You just kind of suffer through it, so to speak, without, you know, going into those questions like, well, how did I get here? Why am I here? You know, it's got that sort of overarching theme comes back into this song, like from other earlier tunes, like why am I, you know, why are we here? Because we're here. It can relate to a problem, which also relates to different religious things, which comes up later in that little, I call it a chant towards the end. You know, that little bit you're gonna say later on, Paul. That's like over and over and all sort of like a. I wouldn't say poetry, but it just for me it feels very chant-like, where it describes the different things. You know that I can't repeat the words, but
we'll get there.
And yeah, the next.
We'll do it. Yeah. So and then where we leave it at after the so and then next chorus, neurotica, exotica. It's just erotica, hypnotica. It's just psychotica, chaotica, just exotica, neurotica, and then that goes into the break. And then I love where, as many times as I've listened to this, it always fell into the back of my head, and I never, until I had to break it down and read it, where with the snap, where it kicks in, hide in your shell, let the world go to hell. It's like Russian roulette to you, snap. And they keep trying to break out of it. Snap, sweat running cold. You can't face growing old. It's a personal threat to you, snap. The world is a cage for your impotent rage, but don't let it get to you. And then we go into Alex's solo. So these things trying to get you out of this. Again, the person, our narrator, whoever, has not acted in all the other songs. And I'll go into that after we talk about the solo. I listed all the songs, but with all these infinite possibilities in this particular one, the neuroses, they haven't acted. There's so many possibilities that analysis paralysis can't act. There's so many things going on that the neuroses keeps that person from acting. So, thoughts on the solo?
Yeah, the solo. So, long story short, you have a stick it out thing going on, and I did it for me with Neurotica and You Bet Your Life. So, I remember this solo, but I couldn't remember what track it was from, and it was from Neurotica. So the thing with the Alex's solo in general is that they are neurotic sometimes. Because, okay, Rob, do you play guitar, right? You play guitar. So, like, it's relatively, like, easy to learn Yngwie Malmsteen solo if you know the concept. The whole, like, diminished arpeggios and all this stuff. It's easy to learn John Petrucci solo. But Alex solo, man, it's impossible to, like, recreate. It's impossible to play. It's impossible to play because there are so many like intricate movements with like little harmonics, with little like the effects, the delays going on. It's impossible. I would like to bring it up sometimes if I will ever participate in Great Tech, let's debate thing. But damn it, this thing starts like I don't know. It's neurotic. It's anxious. It's like really like the song is like relatively like mid tempo, but the solo is all over the place sometimes. Yeah, like, whoa.
It fits the song really well.
Yeah, that's the thing. And the thing about the snap, maybe I'm thinking too much now, but, you know, during, like, anxious things, like, the best thing that helps you is, like, getting out of it. So it's like, snap, you know. And here is another line, and then snap, and here is another line. So it's like, I don't know how to say it. It's like the lyrics are drawing the picture, and then snap another thing. So it doesn't let you to get your mind away from it. It constantly like brings it back, and lets it like here is this line, here is this line, here is this line. So those are my thoughts.
You feel that way. I agree. It makes you feel that way.
Yeah. So the solo is neurotic. The song is neurotic.
It's nice to have a solo after a few songs earlier in the album that didn't have any solos at all. We talked about that, Paul, a couple of episodes ago for Heresy and
Big Wheel.
what was the other one? The Big Wheel, yes.
Nice to have a good song on the album.
And Ghost of a Chance has had one take, beautiful one take, mellow solo. So this one, the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Right. It's chaotic. It's neurotic. Yeah.
Chaotic, neurotic solo. So
yeah. But it still fits the song perfectly as a tradition,
Exactly.
as any Alex Lifeson solo. So yeah. It just stands out. I can hear it in my head right now. I listened to the song like 5-6 times today, and I can just hear the solo going on. It's a great solo. Probably I'd say probably an underrated solo. It's not really talked about much.
Yeah. I would like to add to this because I played, like, I don't want to brag about this. Okay, I just want to tell you that I tried to play the both songs on the guitar, like, ultimateguitar.com and all that stuff. And when you play Alex's solo as they are written on the Guitar Pro tabs, on the tabs for Guitar Pro players, it doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound like it should sound this way. Like, when you play Dream Theater solo, it's like, okay, here's this band, this like shred part, sweeping, and okay, I got it. But when you see it, the tabs, it doesn't make any sense. And you play it and it doesn't seem right. Like, there's no. No. Those are my thoughts.
I'm not a guitarist. That doesn't seem to make sense, but I mean,
it's the timbres he uses with the strings he plays on. He does a lot of single string runs. He doesn't really play in boxes, So the timbre that he uses will indicate if you hear a really thick tone, chances are he's on the low strings, like the low E, the A string, the D string. So that's why a lot of times it's hard to notate his solos because of the timbres and changes in tone he uses.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes you see some patterns and you recognize them and you know how they will sound. If that makes sense. But this one, it seems impossible to play, and they try to play it and it doesn't seem right. So this is what I'm trying to say.
Makes sense.
And then the song closes with just one more chorus of Neurotica, Exotica. It's just Erotica, Hypnotica. It's just Psychotica, Chaotica. It's just Exotica, Neurotica. And it goes through one more time, but switches some of the phrasing. What I did write down was I took each song, and remember how I said earlier when we were talking that each song or on the album has, and I left the instrumental out, but each song takes the element of fate and endless possibilities, and it has an action involved with it, where Dreamline is all about taking a chance. Bravado, the only failure is in stopping. Roll the Bones requires action. Face Up or Turn the Wild Card Down is the action. Big Wheel spins. Heresy, do we have to be forgiving at last? Forgiveness. Ghost of a Chance to find someone to love and make it last. Neurotica, no action at all. And then You Bet Your Life we'll get into in a moment. So that just struck me as kind of weird that Neurotica is the one that involves no action at all. So
yeah, it's
a little intricacy in the way Neil wrote.
Outside of Clockwork Angels, this is one of the albums that has the most like a theme or you know what I mean, like a concept behind it. There's always a little bit of a concept behind most albums, like to a certain degree, but like, Counterparts is probably one of them, and Roll the Bones, obviously. But like you said, he was experimenting with his writing styles at this point in his career. He'd kind of gotten past I don't know what you want to call it, but you could see the transition in his writing styles, and you see it really clearly from Presto to Roll the Bones, and then further on. So,
waiting for the Roundtable where we discuss themes. My name's already on it, so thank you, Ryan, for putting my name down. I appreciate it. I'm ready for it. All right, we'll move on to You Bet Your Life. So it's an intro with the opening instrumentation, and then lyrics start with Just another hunter like a wolf in the sun. Just another junkie on a scoring run. Just another victim of the things he has done. Just another day in the life of a loaded gun. The odds get even, you name the game. The odds get even, the stakes are the same. You bet your life. Who wants to start us off? All right. Well,
instrumentation wise, it goes right into it right off the top. Neil has his little riff or his little fill, and then all three are together. Go. It's not, you know how some songs they kind of build it up. They just go right into it with this one. All three.
Strong closer.
Probably one of the most underrated album closers. You know, I find some people dismiss Roll the Bones, as a whole, as an album. I don't, Present Company included, but my opinions changed by doing these roundtables and watching everybody talk about it. So, I've talked about this before. The sound quality is part of that. The recording quality is thin for Presto and Roll the Bones. Like, I find Nick Neil's drums could be better tracked, or not, I'm sorry, just better recorded. You know what I mean? But still, this is a great intro to this album closer for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like a precursor to the next album coming up too. So like, what are we gonna hear on the next record that's gonna come out? So it's kind of like it's a great little placement, because it's like you're just expecting something, you don't know what yet because it hasn't come out. So at that time, but yeah, it's interesting, very high. I think it's the fastest song on the record too. I think tempo wise.
I was going to say the song is actually a great lead into Counterparts. I would agree.
They have that knack of making their album closers like a precursor to their next album. I don't know how they do it. Like,
I would argue against Available Light being any of Roll the Bones, though. But overall, in theory as a whole, I would agree. Available Light was one that really threw me off, though. Love it, but just didn't give me any kind of
a sense.
Yeah. But
speaking of the instrumental intro, I would like to say that I read today that Alex wanted to add digital delay in the first verse, and the engineer did it, but they wanted it to make like Edge from YouTube, which is kind of interesting, like those 8 dotted notes from Where the Streets Have No Name, or I Still Have It Found One. Well, you know what I'm talking about. And that's very interesting that Alex wanted to fill the space with his guitar and felt like he couldn't really do it, because to me, yet again, I played some Rush tunes today and I felt like, damn it, like he's like one of the best in it. Like, to fill the space with the guitar, and I play it and it seems like, standard suspended 2 chords, but actually it sounds huge, even by like 80s standards, even on the Presto with its thin production. But like, what's the problem? Well, I guess we all have those moments. I don't know. I can't imagine it was those like Edge U2 thing, like those dotted notes. It sounds cool to me as it is.
I like the sound of just the sound they used on this song more than a lot of the rest of the album. And I'm not gonna be able to put it into better words than that, unfortunately. But I really like the sound they got out of this song. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Moving to the next one. Just another winner pours his life down the drain. Just another island in a hurricane. Just another loser like a cat in the rain. Just another day in the path of a speeding train. The odds get even. You name the game. The odds get even. The stakes are the same. You bet your life. Now we're starting to get, as far as lyrics go, a little bit better idea what Neil's trying to say here. The theme they're going for with this one, there was an interview I heard. I can't quote the source because I can't find the interview. I've tried all week to find it. I'll paraphrase, so I apologize to anyone who actually has it and can quote it line and verse. what they were going for, and this is why he picked this one, as far as he wanted this theme to close the album, was the complete randomness of, say, someone with a genius intellect being born into a poverty-stricken country, or someone, there was a story he heard in an African country where a gas leak of some kind, a gas pocket, killed 1,700 people, and it didn't make the worldwide news, yet the death of one person in a first world, in air quotes, country can make worldwide headlines. And he didn't use the word injustice, but the disparity in those two elements, just the randomness of that. So the fact that, and I don't want to get too far ahead in the lyrics, but it'll be coming up shortly, how the complete futility of fate, of randomness, of one person is born in one situation, another person is born into a different situation, or say, and the word luck is used and thrown around so often, excuse me, where you will say, oh, if this happened to this person, that is good luck. But if that happens to that person, that is bad luck. It doesn't make any sense to him, because who's to say luck had anything to do with it? It's simply what happened. The way he phrased it in the interview I did find was, why does it happen isn't the right question. It's what can we do about the circumstances that did happen? Which mind blown. That's as profound as it gets as far as I'm concerned. We're asking the wrong question. So
I think that interview you were mentioning, Paul, might be in relation to the Master Writer. I'm not sure, and I don't want to be, quoting the wrong stuff. It could be from that book when he was promoting the book, because he was riding on his bicycle,
yes,
seeing all the disparities and how people were so happy with basically nothing, and then thinking about, well, why are they so happy with nothing when we have everything and we're miserable, kind of thing. So I could be wrong on that, but it might be around that time frame, because he was still riding his bicycle at this point, even being dropped off on tour and riding through the night to the next city on gig day, or just riding extra because it's a day off, and that's another sort of thing of chance to ride your bicycle when the sun's coming up, and rush hour is about to begin, etc., etc. So, but that's my 2 cents on that.
It would fit the time frame, right? Like around this from that book.
Yeah. So we're reading 6 books at once, so it's very possible.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Before I jump into the lyric spaghetti that we are facing,
the insane chorus.
Yeah.
You have to repeat it. You have to repeat it 4 times for the end of the song.
Deep breath.
I almost did it with Subterranean Homesick Blues card style, or for the younger generation, the NXS Mediate card style. I almost did that. Didn't want to get too cliche, and exactly. Thank you, Rob.
And then that happens. You blend into your background. We don't see anything.
You can't see a damn thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I didn't do it. Really. Yeah. So, but I will try and keep the meter at least. But again, just a reminder that Neil was taking writing lessons because he was so interested in honing his craft. And that's another reason I love Presto and Roll the Bones so much, because you can tell the writing, he was honing his craft. You could tell the style is starting to really come together. But anarchist, reactionary, running dog revisionist, Hindu, Muslim, Catholic, creation, evolutionist, rational, romantic, mystic, cynical, idealist, minimal, expressionist, postmodern, neo-symbolist, armchair rocket scientist, graffiti, existentialist, deconstruction, primitive, performance, photorealist, bebop, or a one-drop, or a hip-hop, light-pop metalist, gold adult, contemporary, urban country capitalist.
So everything did not be like you bet your life, but as you were saying that,
I can't do both. Someone else had to be thrown.
I should have thrown.
Cal was our resident singer on Stick It Out. We should have guessed.
But you kind of kept it just like the song, kind of like almost like kind of monotone to a certain degree, which is how it's done in the song. Yeah.
So, but again,
that's a mouthful.
And the lyrics do reflect him saying, you could be anything, you could end up anything, but what you make of it is up to you. But even after that, it's up to you, but then anything can happen after that. I think that's the point I took from it at any rate. I don't want to say as like I know, but that's what I took from it. That's my interpretation of it. So,
Well, when I was 13, yet again, I only heard Russian River. I haven't heard You Bet Your Life. I haven't heard anything from Roundtables except Roundtables. And I bought the magazine, and it had Rush on the, the cover, but it had Deep Purple, and I was interested in that. So the thing about Rush, it had some interviews, some like stuff about them, and it had like You Bet Your Life segment, and I was, it didn't quote that, but it said something about this section. So I was curious to know what it is about, because when I was 13 in 2008, I only knew like pop, rock, metal, rap, hip hop, anarchist. That's it. So I was expecting this. Oh, emo, goth, all those old and present stuff, I guess. And then I look at the lyrics when I bought the MP3. It had the notepad files, and I'm like, what the? I'm seeing all those words. I'm like, I was expecting less. The only thing that I knew, I even wrote it down, was hip hop, light pop, metalist. Like, okay, this I know. But the rest of it, I had to like Google every word because I didn't know English at all. And like, okay. And for me, this section, still to this day, is like about how it doesn't care at the end of the day. Like, who you associate yourself with, you're still like, simple human. I don't know how to say it, but like, those, like, putting yourself into some category will only limit your, not vision, but like tolerance to someone who is not that. You know what I'm trying to say. So,
yes, I do. Agreed.
Almost like occupations, or there could be philosophies, ways of living. I mean, in all those bits right there, you're anarchist reactionary, I mean, that could be a life philosophy. It could be, a job. That could be like a made up job kind of thing, like vocation. So who's to say,
yeah.
Right?
So, yeah, long story short, it always seemed cool to me that all of this is just like those lines. That's it. This is how much it takes to. So it kind of like, I don't want to say, how do you say, devalue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like taking the value out of it, but
right. Well, defy categorization then.
Yeah, it's kind of it puts this whole thing in the perspective that all of this can be together without any like conflict. Maybe I'm thinking too much, but this is the feeling that I'm getting from it.
You're talking to the wrong person if you think you're thinking too much.
So yeah,
We all think too
that's
much.
it.
I'm a drummer. I don't think.
No, come on.
Told you before, roundtables would be boring if we had only one type of person on them. We need all types.
Oh, it's true. So it keeps the world spinning.
Absolutely.
We got another chorus there to go. No, a verse. Sorry.
Yes, we do have one more verse. Just another gypsy with a plastic guitar. Just another dancer with her eyes on the stars. Just another dreamer who was going too far. Just another drunk at the wheel of a stolen car. The odds get even. The odds get even. You bet your life. And then repeated 4 times, you bet your life. I did find an interview where this came up, and I'm trying to think how this flows into the discussion, but Neil brought up the concept of, when I asked about those lyrics specifically, of modus vivendi, which is a mode or a manner of living where always conflicting parties find a way to coexist. But the short version of that is like chaos theory. In other words, a manner of living, how to exist in a random world. So in other words, he answers the question of, what do we do in a world that is so seemingly random. You live. You find a way to just do the next thing. So neat and tidy. A short answer for a very deep existential question. So, and the way I actually summed that up, going back to what we said earlier, the outcome of a random universe. In other words, why does it happen isn't the right question, like I said earlier, but it's what can we do about it? Going into his later stuff, what I ended up writing down was, it's what can we do about it? How can we help is something he said. I'm quoting him. That is a direct quote. And then going into what we know was his personal philosophy is, what is the most excellent thing I can do today? And then what I like to throw in there is, how do we tend our garden? That's my last thought on it.
Yeah. I think even the example of the band themselves, what they were doing. I mean, Neil was taking up archery at that time. You know, he was still riding the bicycle. You know, they would set up the archery thing in the hallway. God forbid someone came around the corner when they were doing target practice, you know, in the hallway. At the venue outside, I mean, it's like they were doing all this stuff. Alex was getting really hard into golf and got Getty involved in it too. So they were all kind of doing these things. Action, you know, they were taking action, you know, just to break the boredom of being on the road. But just in life, they were doing these activities because there's more to life than just being a musician on the road and having a family. There's other things, and they touched on it in the tour book, which is excellent. You know, Row the Boats, that whole first page, and then onward past that, they were describing all these things and tying them into the lyrics of the songs. You know, so they really kind of set an example of like how to live, how to be. You know, you don't stay still, you move, you do stuff.
Yeah. Final thoughts, gentlemen?
Like you said, they all have hobbies outside of being musicians and touring. Like you said, Alex is his golf. He's a pilot. Getty's got his baseball fanatics, and he's a huge collector. I mean, we all know about the bases he's collected and thousands of baseball memorabilia and the wine. And I mean, that's the only way you kind of have to keep going. You can't just focus on one thing all the time, right? You have to have something to keep yourself occupied. How many times do you see people retired and they have nothing to do, and then they're just like, they go back to work because they got nothing to kind of occupy their time. So, it's your life is what your life is what you make of it. At the end of the day, live it to the fullest or live it to nothing, and you can't complain. So, gosh, this guy was good. Gosh, this guy was good.
That was so good,
man. Neil never ceases to amaze me. Like, he just, for a drummer, he's quite talented. He's got so many more talents outside of his obvious talent of drumming, or percussions. Just his overall philosophy on life is, you can't underestimate it. You cannot show anything but respect for the man. I always thought to myself, what would I do if I ever had run into him somewhere in public, just out of the blue on his travels? You know what I mean? In a small diner or something. How would you react, knowing how he was? Right? Like, just walk by and say hello, thank you, and keep walking. You know what I mean? But you don't know until it happens. And obviously, it's not going to happen. But that's why I got him tattooed on my arm, because he was an influence for me for 30 years. So.
When I write lyrics for my songs and I don't know what to write, because I don't speak English, actually, it's not my native language, and I just open Rush lyrics, and I just take anything, like 2 words. That's enough to get the train of thought going. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's a pretty good wrap up.
I think so. All right, folks. As always, please like, subscribe, comment, start a dialogue down there, keep talking, and tend your garden, folks. Aloha.